The second leg of British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's charm offensive in Europe is having little effect. He's trying to convince EU leaders to rework the current Brexit deal by ditching the so-called Irish backstop, designed to prevent a hard border between Northern Ireland in the UK and the Republic of Ireland in the EU. Johnson's trip to Paris comes a day after his meeting with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel in Berlin. She's given Johnson 30 days to provide alternatives to the backstop. But the French President Emmanuel Macron says negotiating new terms will be impossible before the October deadline. He's urging Johnson to find a way to sell the existing agreement to a parliament that's already rejected it 3 times.
Of course, I want a deal. And I think we can get a deal, and a good deal. I was powerfully encouraged by our conversations last night in Berlin with our mutual friends. And I know that with energy and with creativity and application, we can find a way forward for all our businesses and our citizens.
If there are things in the framework of what EU Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier has negotiated that can be adjusted and are in compliance with 2 objectives that I have cited, namely stability in Ireland and integrity of the single market, we have to find them in the coming month.
For more on this, Jacques Reland joins us now from Saint-Malo in France. He's a senior research fellow at the Global Policy Institute, specialising in European economic and social policies. Welcome to Money Talks, Jacques. Now, French President Emmanuel Macron says while the Brexit deal can't be renegotiated, the UK is still free to submit an alternative to the Irish backstop. Do you think this is a sign of compromise on the Europeans' part?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the European Union will compromise. If there is a compromise to be made, it has to come from the British side, because the Europeans are all united. And that's what surprised the British. When they voted for Brexit, they thought that maybe Europe would get divided and would start disintegrating a bit as a result of Brexit. Instead, the Brexit has reinforced the determination of the European countries to protect the single market. And that's why they're so insistent on the issue of the backstop to prevent the re-establishment of a border between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland.
Yes, now this Irish backstop to Boris Johnson is unacceptable because in the event that it is used, it would leave the UK within the European Customs Union, and he believes that means it wouldn't result in a true Brexit. But why are the Europeans so unwilling to remove this provision from the deal?
Because in that case, imagine if you did not have a border between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, and Ulster would remain in the UK, there would be endless possibilities for smuggling, for bootlegging, for importing goods from other countries which come to Britain and would enter Europe via Ireland. So it is absolutely indispensable, if we want to protect the single market, that there is a border between Britain and Northern Ireland, so that Northern Ireland belongs to the single market and the same rules applies. And obviously you can see why that would displease our British friends, is because it means a de facto partition of the United Kingdom, and it would be seen by the Protestants in Northern Ireland as a first step towards a reunification of Ireland, which is a taboo subject for the most extremist Protestants in Northern Ireland. So that's why it's amazing to think that this issue was not even dealt with during the campaign. Nobody thought about it. Nobody talked about it in Britain during the campaign. Some foreign observers are mentioning, but what happens with Ireland? And it is a fact. That's it. So for me, it's very simple. And we can see that Macron is not really pushing either for a second referendum and give more time to Britain. Macron wants a quick decision, and I think Merkel also wants it, even though she gave a bit of sop yesterday by saying that come up with a solution. Boris Johnson amazingly has apparently some marvelous technological solution which would allow the goods to travel. It's nobody has seen these plans and nobody knows it's feasible. So there's no technological miracle solution which Boris Johnson seems to imagine. Now, for the British, the situation is very simple. They and the French have a very simple view of it. They voted for Brexit. Let's get a Brexit. Actually, the French are not very keen on Britain having a second referendum and going back into the Euro and staying in the European Union, because then you would have a divided Britain kind of back in Europe and always opposing, as it has done, every step towards further integration. It would be a thorn in the side. So it's fine. Europe, Britain out of the European Union, but now what's come to be negotiated is the future relationship between the European Union and Britain. And we know that for Britain, Europe has always been a bit about trade. And I wonder why. There is a simple solution for Britain. The simple solution would be to accept a customs union, that Britain remains in the customs union. Yes. That would remove the need for a backstop. That would remove the need for a border between both countries. And it would not include, Britain would be out of the EU. It would lead, Britain would not be in the common agricultural policy. Mm-hmm. Britain would not be in the common fisheries policy, but it would have to pay a certain amount to Europe, okay. It would have to abide by the rules. And Britain would not be in a position to establish new trade deals with other countries. But does Britain think it will get better trade deals as a single country with other countries in the world than the European Union, the biggest market in the world? I doubt it.
Okay, Jacques Reland, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your analysis here on Money Talks.